Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in! Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons & Dragons. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. All right, it's time for another installment of the Doctor Spell Prognosis, and today we are talking about the spell Snare. It's a first level spell. We're almost done with the first level spells. We're going to be done soon. All right. It is a first level spell. We are giving this a C+. I'm almost leaning to give it a B-. It's not a bad little spell, but it is not one that you can necessarily use in combat. So it is a near combat spell. And again, let me define that. This is a spell that you're going to use when you think you're getting ready to go into combat, or when you think a combat situation is going to get triggered, and you want to have a little something to give you an advantage. So it is a first level spell that is usable by druids, rangers, wizards, and artificers. So because it is on the wizard list, it is also on the magic initiate list. Also because it's on the druid list. So it is usable by quite a few classes. It is an abjuration spell, so it's kind of hard to get there from anywhere. But it is a wizard spell, so it's got quite a few classes that have access to this spell. It does take 1 minute to cast, so that's why you're really not going to be casting this in combat. You'll be casting this during combat. I think another use for this spell, after we talk about the uses, is it can be used to guard your campsite. If you're camping out, you can put this out, in an obvious place where something might try to sneak up on you. It's not a ritual spell, and it's not a concentration spell. It lasts for 8 hours, so you do have to burn a spell slot for it. You touch the area, it requires a somatic and material component, which is 25 feet of rope, which it's consumed by the spell. So this is one of the few that we've seen so far where it actually says consumed by the spell. So 25 feet of rope can be kind of pricey. So if we go to the player's handbook and we go to adventuring gear, rope, and it's 50 feet of rope that's here, costs a gold piece. So it's 5 silver pieces to cast this spell, essentially. So just be wary of that. Lasts for 8 hours, like we said. So you cast the spell, you use the rope to create a circle with a 5-foot radius on the ground. 5-foot radius, so that's a 10-foot diameter. That's a pretty big area. When you finish, the rope disappears and it becomes a magical trap. So the trap is nearly invisible, requiring a successful intelligence investigation check against your spell DC to be discerned. Now this says something about two things. This says two things. So one, this is a trap, and we are using intelligence investigation to find it. So that should tell you something about traps, that to be discerned. So that means that the player's handbook is suggesting that intelligence investigation checks should be used to find traps. And this is a magical trap because it says it's a magical trap. So intelligence investigations could be used to find magical or non-magical traps, because this would be the inference that I'm making from this. All right. Trap triggers when a small, medium, or large creature moves on the ground in the radius, and they got to make a dex save. That's the best of the 3 physical saves that we want. And then they're hoisted in the air, hanging upside down 3 feet above the ground. It's kind of hard for a large creature or a medium creature to hang upside down 3 feet, but they're restrained. So it goes around both of their legs, that's what I'm assuming, and then they're restrained. This is a great condition. Their speed is 0. They can't benefit from any bonus to speed. Attack rolls have advantage, and their attack rolls have disadvantage. And one of the best ones is that they have disadvantage on all dexterity saving throws. So let me say this: a restrained creature can make a Dex saving throw at the end of each turn, ending the effect on a success. However, it has disadvantage on all of those saving throws, so that makes this rather effective. So it's a straight up saving throw first, and if they fail it, they're restrained, and then they're disadvantaged. Now, if you got somebody in this and you crack them with a lightning bolt, that's a Dex save. They've got disadvantage. And the rope is gone. It's consumed by the spell, so it's a magic rope. It can't be destroyed. It doesn't give any statistics for the rope, so my assumption is that it can't be destroyed. So you could have the rest of your party all sitting around waiting, ready to blast this thing, and you could have all your casters ready with all their Dex save spells, fireballs, lightning bolts, things like that, ready to go, and it's got disadvantage on all those saving throws. Alternately, a creature or someone else who can reach it can use its action to make an Intelligence Arcana check against the spell's DC. On a success, the restrained effect ends. That is not easy to do for most creatures because they either don't have a great intelligence and or they're absolutely not trained in Arcana. So after the trap is triggered, the spell ends when no creature is restrained by it. So if you don't get them on the first hit, then it goes away. So I think this is a pretty good spell. The other thing that I want to point out is this part which says, which the spell is consumed. Now I want to go over to the player's handbook, and I want to go back into this, and I want to revisit this spell casting piece. And I want to look at this thing that says material components. If a spell states that a material component is consumed by the spell, the caster must provide this component for each casting of the spell. So, this spell states that it is consumed. If a spell has a material component and it says that it is not consumed, then you don't have to provide that component for every casting of the spell. So, one, we learned a couple of things. This is a pretty good spell outside of combat that sets combat up. 2, intelligence investigation checks probably should be used to detect both magical and mechanical traps. And 3, this spell actually states that the material component is consumed, which means it has to be provided every single time. And we learned a little bit about the restrained and the fact that it's a Dex save after the failure, which is great. All right. And the investigation check is against the DC of the spell, which is also good because as a wizard, you can ramp this spell up pretty high. So, all right, that's what I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.